for purposes of the videotape, again, I just want to let you guys know that's being both audio and video recording. You're okay with that?
We understand. I'm okay with it.
And again, just for reasons of privacy, I've shut the door as long as you guys are okay with that.
Okay.
Okay. As I identified myself before, I'm Detective Sergeant Mike Monahan with the Bedford Police Department, with Detective Charles Wong. And if you guys would just identify yourselves as well.
My name's Mike Gill.
Okay.
My name's Aaron Day.
Okay. And obviously, we were in receipt of correspondence from you, and I say we mean the Bedford Police Department. I know you addressed your chief.
You have all this stuff?
That I do not have. This is
Well, you know what? I'm going to give you this. I'll leave this with you here. So let's go. I'm going to just point to a witness here, just to give you an example.
Okay.
All right? Now, if you remember, one of my first witnesses was a lady who's involved with what was a Hell's Angel, and she witnessed loading heroin, bricks of heroin, machine guns, MAC-10s. Now, she reported this and went to Detective Clark in Derry. You know Clark?
I don't.
Detective Clark in Derry. Detective Clark called the drug dealer before she even got home. Okay? So now I put that on the radio thinking, because I have this information, and I'm going to the Department of Justice with this, and I've gone to the FBI with this and said, listen, this guy Steve Gingras is dangerous. You know the guy who robbed the two banks with the machine gun? How about this? Do you know he also put two in the head of the guy in Pennsylvania in the last month? How's this? Now that's why witness was giving you that guy. Since then we've had a murder and a couple of bank robberies. See? Now you know who Steve Gingras is?
No. Well,
he is the go-between the Hells Angels and the Outlaws. Okay? He connects with motorcycles, Hells Angels, all these guys. He's the distribution from Lawrence and pick it in Salem, bring it in here.
Okay.
That's who he is. You know who he works for? Dick Anagos. Hells Angels. Did you notice that Anagos has a Harley Davidson dealerships? Like three of them. Yeah, he does. Three of them.
Let me start.
Okay. Now wait a minute. Now, you know the same Steve Gingras now, right? Now that's in there.
Yep.
Gingras is the distribution center. That's why he had to be saved. That's why the Derry police gave her up. Now we had a partner named Steve Nietzsche. Have you heard of Nietzsche? Steve Nietzsche?
I don't know.
All right. Well, he controlled the heroin from Haverhill going into New Hampshire through Plastow. Same people. Hells Angels, the whole thing. All right? Now Nietzsche now is in South Carolina, 12 miles from the Gold Club. You know the Gold Club in Bedford? You know they sell drugs, right?
Every bar has been alluded to selling drugs, and I would not be surprised if...
Well, who's the owner of the club?
I don't know personally.
Michael Rose.
Michael Rose. You know who Michael Rose is? He was just indicted for drug trafficking and drug laundering. Right. They what did he indict him for 2,011 years?
2006 years. He was convicted and he's serving 87 months.
Right. All motorcycle gangs. All strip clubs. That's why they're in Bedford.
Sure.
That's who those people are. All right? And they work for Anagos. The other way that it comes in is through heavy trucking equipment. We have kids that were loading this equipment. I'm still not going to give you their names until I know that these people are saved. They worked in the warehouse loading. They're using heavy equipment. That's why a lot of your construction things are, for instance, HUD. Shaheen's working with Aganos with HUD. You know why you have all this cheaper housing and so forth? It's because of them. They're bringing in Mexicans to build it, right? You remember in 2009, Aganos had a big construction project? It was only the biggest cocaine bust in the history of the state. It was Anagos's project. It was the Mexicans comes in on a HUD project. It's all there. Now, we have witnesses that work in construction that'll tell you that. We have witnesses that
what we need to do, because we're kind of going around in a bunch of different areas, and obviously I want any and all information that you got, but what we need to do is we need to not just do little snippets of everywhere, snippets of the dealer, snippets of the Gold Club. Let's focus on...
This is the transportation of it.
So,
this is huge. You get this guy, do you know what happened to Gingras?
No.
Okay. Well, the FBI surrounded him with SWAT in Boston. had his face with the machine gun that I told you he had in the camera. You get him, you get the network. You get the distribution of this and how. That's why this guy's so important.
So let's go back, and I know you don't want to name names, which is
well, I gave you Steve Gingras, and if you turn around and you want to give me safety for that woman,
so that is, again, that's an
I will give you that person, and I will talk to. I've already talked to that person.
Yeah. We need to expand a little bit on what you said that she had said to get the specifics.
She was involved.
Yep. Let me just slow you down, and let me just start with the. She's saying that she had witnessed guns and drugs.
Yes.
Where was that? Where she
at this guy's house,
which is,
I believe it's in Derry. She's in Derry.
So,
which is why she reported the crime.
Yep.
In the Derry.
So you're saying that the witness here was at Gingras' house in Derry.
They were a couple at one time.
Gotcha. Okay. And how long ago was this? Do you remember the specifics?
A couple of months. Now, you know what she did? She also went to the DEA, and we have records of both.
Okay.
So it means that the Derry cops ratted her out, and the DEA did nothing. We could have prevented a couple of bank robberies and a murder.
How was it known that the detective, whoever it was in Derry, communicated with Gingras? Was it Gingras or was it
Gingras? Gingras told her and repeated everything he said to Clark. Now, listen, I confronted Clark with this. I put it on the radio. You don't hear him say no. I even went to the authorities with Clark.
Yep.
No one's denying that it happened.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
Couple months.
Within the last couple of months.
Right.
That was March 18th.
March is when I announced. I put it on the radio because I thought she was dead.
Okay. And this witness was saying that Gingras was operating on behalf of Anagnos?
Of distributing of the drugs and the heroin working for Anagnos. And that Anagnos uses a network of motorcycles, which is why he owns Harley shops and so forth. And he's been doing it. This thing with Anagnos. Did you know he was arrested with 2 suitcases of cocaine leaving the airplane in Manchester?
How long ago?
A long time ago.
86, 87. Okay. All right, well, wait a minute. We're not done. Did you know that he was arrested on Silly Street with $275,000 worth of cash?
And the same time period?
Yeah, a little after, a couple of years after that. I talked to the arresting officer. With a gun, with the cocaine. They had a roadblock across the highway. They got the drug dealers, the whole thing. He took a walk on that. He took a walk on. I mean, this is the guy who owns treatment centers.
Did he cooperate? Do you know in that investigation?
No. He was the biggest one.
Okay.
He was next. And I got this from the state troopers.
Yep.
I just had another state trooper call me yesterday. He's the one who gave me the airport. And you know what they keep telling me? Watch the airport.
And this is actually part of the problem. We have state troopers, some of who are now retired, who are afraid to come forward with this information, which I don't even know where you classify this when you get to a point where you have state troopers.
This guy's
They're
afraid for his
they're
life.
afraid to actually come forward with the information.
Okay.
And you know what the state troopers tell me? The Hells Angels, the motorcycles, they know about Anagnos. Stewart knows about Anagnos. Keeney knows about Anagnos. I gotta call you. They know that he's one. Now I gave you text messages, right?
The text messages that I have.
Well, let me explain to you. Already. Now this guy worked as in the gang, had been in the gang for years with Alex Anagnos. He's telling us that Alex connections are in Boston, and they bring it down to Lawrence. Right. Dick's been involved in the mob in New York for years. I got the connections. You know, his brother was partners with the Capo and, what was it, the Genovese family? I mean,
Unfortunately,
but this guy's telling you they're bringing it in from New York, too. See, they're bringing it into the
so this is kind of the way we have to do this. We have to identify, one is obviously who the players are, and it sounds like you got a number of information there. 2 is the specifics. So in reviewing this,
how about this? Yeah. They put the specifics in writing. They're telling you, fills it with a denali that he has a hidden thing.
But in order for
they're telling us how much the price.
Let me
all right, hold on. Okay. Do you know that they're selling it out of the pharmacy at Elliott Hospital?
I saw that somewhere.
Have you noticed that all of a sudden right now, the AG's office, which is corrupt with Foster, they won't get the information from the pharmaceutical companies? It's all over the papers now. Have you been noticing that?
I have not.
Why do you think that is? distributing more than they're saying.
As far as the investigation though, for me to go to a judge and either sign out an affidavit for a search warrant, an arrest warrant, anything like that, I need specifics more than just a CI.
Well, how about this?
Hold on.
We have the complaint with the DEA, with Gingras.
So what I need to do though now is you've alleged a lot. It's kind of one big pile. I need to separate.
Well, that's why I'm giving you two right now. I'm giving you a texter who collaborates what this witness did that said about Gingras. Gingras went on to rob a couple of banks and have that machine gun. You know what? He also still has a Mac 10 or two out there. That didn't get that.
As Bedford PD, I cannot execute a search warrant for a dairy crime. So my limitation is, as I said before, we focus on crimes of Bedford within the statute of limitations. That's what I can offer you as a Bedford detective. So I would absolutely like to hear any and all crimes here in Bedford, and well, that texter is Bedford.
I thought the task force was into this stuff. I thought you were...
Which task force?
What was the levy?
The drug task force told us that you were going to handle this.
We were going to handle what happened in Bedford.
No, that's what they were saying. So we were going to have an issue with the drug task force.
Well, there might be communication that I wasn't privy to. I was asked to review this letter and to meet with you guys because there's alleged crimes here.
In Bedford, it is Bedford. Aganos. Cruz, do you know that they own the bank? Primary Bank.
Yep.
It's the drug bank.
Let me slow you down. Because I know obviously you're very passionate.
One last thing before you do.
Okay.
You ready?
Sure.
Do you know how many new banks have been built in this country since 2008?
I don't.
2. Okay? That's it. They're one. Where do you think they're putting all this drug money?
That is specifics that we'd like to talk about.
Well, that's where they're putting it in, check.
So what
They got billions going out. Where's the money coming from?
My first goal of the meeting would be to actually identify what applies to Bedford. And now I know obviously
The banking?
Yep. So that's what I put.
The heads of the crime?
Correct. And I want to list it out.
You see Cruz, right? You see all these cars? I mean, it's the oldest thing since dirt. You put the cash in the inventory no longer.
Here's the nutshell. Just because they live in Bedford doesn't mean I can automatically go after them. We do have a...
All right, so we got guys who can't go after that live in Bedford.
No. Hang on, let me finish. I personally, and you're very passionate, I know we're bouncing around, so this is what
I've got 45 people that are worried about their lives. And now that we know one of the suspects that we gave up is a murderer, shouldn't we be concerned?
And
listen,
that you should.
they only threatened to murder my family multiple times. Well, last time they were going to cut off each one of my kids' heads and mail them back to me. They put these stuff out there. In fact, I don't even know if you have some of the death threats we put in here.
The extent of the information I have is this right here.
All right. So you get to see some of the death threats. When I threatened to murder my children.
What I would like to do, as I said before, is to identify what is specific to Bedford. We'll go through that.
The ringleader is in Bedford.
And I get that. However,
you see the copper door? You guys know what goes on in there, really? Nobody knows?
Were you guys involved with the bust on 393 Donald Street 3 weeks ago?
That was a Manchester case.
That was a Manchester case?
I believe so. Manchester / task force.
Weird. Okay.
So this is... I'm not trying to keep you guys wrong. I'm just trying to say...
Is copper door in Bedford?
Yes, it is.
Oh, good.
Yeah, processors, yeah.
Do you think they work?
So this is what I'm looking for. Not just say, hey, look, they're dealing drugs at the copper door.
I gave you a witness who just murdered somebody.
Again, what I need to find out is the specifics. Okay, they're dealing drugs. One is, who is it specifically that's dealing drugs, not just the collaborative debt.
No, I gave you the head of it.
I don't have any of this information.
Well, I'm leaving it with you.
Okay.
So you have the head of it in the Aganos.
Well, I get what you're saying. So, it's...
You know he owns the treatment centers.
Yes, I do.
So you understand this. Do you know who's getting all the marijuana business, right?
Mr. Gill.
The treatment centers.
If you would just kind of let me talk a little bit. And I know, like I said, you're very passionate, and I respect you for that. Well, this is what, I can't just say, okay, it's Ananas, let's go kick in his door. I need specifics so that I can actually type them into an affidavit.
You see this guy? He lives in Bedford, by the way.
Yep. So essentially,
he lives in Bedford, went to school with him.
What I'm looking for is, let's start at the copper door. Specifics. Do you know what exactly is it? Heroin? Is it cocaine?
Heroin.
Okay. So specifically, it's heroin.
Yeah.
And how?
And fentanyl.
And fentanyl.
And a lot of fentanyl.
And it goes in and in, absolutely. And
okay.
And unfortunately, in this time. Who specifically is alleged to be dealing over there? Is it the manager, a dishwasher, the maitre d'?
Oh, at Copper Door?
Yeah.
It's owned by these individuals. They have meetings there. They'll hire people. So the guy that was in that bust in Manchester, Bedford, was from the Copper Door.
How's that known that he's from the Copper Door?
Well, I know it. Why? You should know it.
Unfortunately, not people may not talk to a detective.
It's known. He was busted. There are two brothers, and I don't remember their name. I have to look up the last name. There was one guy who was working at the Copper Door. His brother was working at BVI.
Two brothers. Do you know the names at all?
I have it at home. They resided at 393 Donald Street.
Okay.
And that was that piece of this.
Gotcha.
Where there was that raid, and then actually, as I understand it, last week there was an overdose. The employee from the Copper Door actually OD'd. He lived, but there was a whole situation with that.
So both are at 393. All right. So,
And then I have a witness who works with Cruz
yeah.
for years.
Mm-hmm.
And they're selling drugs out of the Haverhill and the Nashua one.
Okay.
And they meet almost every night. The assistant manager makes $4 million a year, they were bragging about, at the Copper Door. Almost every night.
Okay. You're saying $4 million every night?
No, $4 million this guy makes.
That's
They meet there at every night to get their instructions.
Okay. So,
And that's what the Copper Door is.
So the
It
guy-
is the laundering of money.
okay, so the guy that is alleging that this activity is going on at the Copper Door, I know he's a CI.
He worked directly for Cruz
Okay.
and knows him personally.
All right. So CI worked for Cruz.
Yes. And he made Cruz aware of all of this.
Did he see this conversation taking place, other than supposition, other than...
He had direct conversation with Cruz about all the drugs and how it
And
came
he
in.
worked there. He witnessed it.
And Cruz threatened him about coming forwards.
Okay. What did he say that he witnessed specifically?
Selling drugs, the salesman being all drugged. One guy, he said, was so drugged up, hit the gas instead of a brake and ran over a customer.
Okay. Did he say who it was that sold it to him? Did he say...
He said if you look at all the managers, he said they all have criminal records. He goes, the assistant manager has just been arrested 4 times for all drugs. And then he goes, he's bringing them all back in. So then he started questioning Cruz, going, you understand that they're selling drugs here and they're bringing it in? And Cruz threatened him, if you tell anybody this, you'll never work in this industry again. He put it in writing and gave it to Cruz, and then turned around and then had to leave because Cruz wouldn't fix it. When he went back to Cruz and said, listen, it's not fair, I lose my job, you're just selling drugs. He goes, you'll never work in this industry again.
Okay. That would be a guy that what we'd have to do is we'd have to talk to him. And again, I can't...
I've got it all in writing from him, too.
Perfect. But what I would like to do is meet with an individual face-to-face and, again, get specifics. So on this date, on this time, I was working this shift. While I was working, I observed a meeting between 2 people. This conversation of XYZ came up. I then heard this individual say...
It happens all day long there.
Okay.
It is a distribution place.
So that would be somebody, it's specific to Bedford.
Yeah.
I would have jurisdiction over that. I could meet with this individual, and then we can kind of go over
Okay,
that way.
and that texter is from Bedford.
So now,
He went to
He's now
Bedford,
in Manchester, though.
but he lived in Bedford,
okay.
and what he witnessed was in Bedford. He's clean now. That's his motivation, is that he knows what's going on.
So when I say specific to Bedford crimes that I can act on, it would be like the Copper Door. If he's got specific information that occurred in Bedford that I can act upon, I
So
absolutely...
those text messages are Bedford.
Yep, so, and again...
About Bedford people.
And what exactly, so just because it's about Bedford, if a Bedford...
No, but it's a Bedford individual.
Correct.
So
If
this
a
has
Bedford
to be...
guy goes into Manchester and commits an armed robbery, I cannot arrest him for the hour. That's kind of where I'm trying to find...
We have a real problem here, which is...
Bring in this case, and then you've got the very clear evidence of civil conspiracy, which is not bifurcatable. And I will represent to you, Your Honor, since we filed the motion to amend, Mrs. Day and Mr. Gilf have engaged in continuing course of conduct together, going to the Secretary of State's office, going to the Bedford Police Department, going to whole rallies where they make the same defamatory statements.
is that we've submitted this information to Chief Willard in Manchester and to Ted Gassis. Ted Gassis gave it to Anna Goss. He didn't investigate. He actually gave it to the drug dealers.
How do you guys know that?
Because we're in a lawsuit with them, and the lawyer, Shaheen and Gordon, attached the letter that he sent to Gatsis as evidence for
With a
why-
timestamp. That's how stupid they are.
So, I mean, it's in writing, time-stamped, when Gatsis received the letter and when he sent it to Anagast and Shaheen and Gordon.
Now, we gave them some what the court didn't have. We gave them more direct information on who it is and where you can find it. And since then, we've been having our witnesses being threatened. So they literally let it out. And I'm giving you an example of this Gingras as some of the people that we need protection from. Listen, these Hell's Angels and outlaws run this state with the delivery of the state. And your prisons, by the way.
So what do we do about the fact that Manchester won't respond, is giving the information? Gatsis is lifelong friends with Anagast.
Yeah, and the drug
They're all,
task force is
all
saying,
the people,
you guys are
all the
gonna
people that
handle
we're dealing with are donors to Gatsis' campaign for governor. So we've gone to the DEA, the FBI. I mean, if it's not your jurisdiction, how do we deal with
So
this?
some of this stuff could be our jurisdiction. The purpose of the task force is in a case where you have multi-jurisdictional issues, you have representatives.
Well, that means we're going to go visit them next week.
So they would obviously, if it spills into Derry, it spills into Manchester, it spills into Bedford, they could handle it.
And Nashua. I mean, we've got.
So if it's a Bedford-specific crime, that's what I'm hearing. I can offer you. I'm not on the task force, so I can't.
But these are Bedford.
Yep.
This was individuals Bedford.
Yep, they live in Bedford. The alleged ringleaders live in Bedford. Just because they live in Bedford, if their criminal activity is elsewhere, I may
Well,
not
how
be.
about the primary bank? They have one in Bedford.
So I saw this.
Have you guys read about any of this?
I have not.
To the DEA about this? Did you know that they rejected for their license? No?
No. I
From the
didn't.
DEA?
No.
Right. Well, they were.
The primary bank was.
Yes.
The first time, the first
Rejected for their license?
application, the first application was
Did they
rejected by the
articulate
FDIC.
Drugs.
and-
Anagos.
Okay, because he was on the board or something like that.
And
Well, he
they-
was also arrested multiple times.
Right.
Rape. Also.
I did think I saw something in that. So again, this is another twist to it. If he's either convicted or was arrested in the 80s, that doesn't necessarily.
90s, 2000s. I got it.
So
I got it. And it's what he's doing still right now.
And I'm not saying he is or he isn't.
How about this?
But what I'm saying is, if that's in his record, that's not automatically enough probable cause.
And I'm not telling you this. It should be a good reason why not to have a treatment center.
Sure.
Right? Or a bank.
Sure.
Which was all covered up.
Which is, by the way, why some of the state troopers have come forward. They said they're so angry because they know he got off on a clean thing in the past, and now they're outraged that he's giving
Do you know
federal government
did they
money.
indicate was there a conviction from his prior
No, they say cover up.
cover up?
That was it. All cover up. They're telling us who did it, what did it. This thing with the cocaine, with the thing was on the front page of the Eagle Tribune. Not Eagle Tribune, Union Leader.
Okay.
This thing, they know I'm getting information from cops.
Sure. So
They're the
again,
ones who think it's an obscenity to have a treatment center with this guy. They know who it is. They know the construction sites. They know how they're telling me.
Tebow Construction,
Go
that's
on.
another Bedford situation.
okay. So going back to the primary bank, let's go back there. There was some alluding to in the documentation that I reviewed that there was people that were working there that were reporting to you. Again, that would be something, if it's specific to Bedford, if they have...
We had someone very close inside the bank but are petrified to be murdered.
Sure.
So we have to be very careful with this woman.
Yeah, I
I'll tell
totally,
you it's a woman, but that's
I
it.
totally understand that. So I guess before
All you have to do is audit
before
the
you
bank.
divulge any information about her, what I would be looking for in order for me to at least initiate an investigation into the primary bank, I would need specific information, not just conjecture. And I don't know what she has for information, but I'm just outlining it to you. It couldn't be conjecture. It couldn't be supposition. The information that we would be looking for that would actually be useful to an investigation was, again, kind of like how I outlined in the Concord door. Look, I've started working here since this date. And I've seen firsthand, heard firsthand, I've seen discussions about drug
We've got
sales,
people inside the
money
bank
coming in through.
that takes care of the business.
Okay.
They're the ones who are petrified for their lives.
And is the information that
If
they
you
have-
audit the bank, right? Did you know this bank's never been audited?
I-
The New Hampshire Banking Department,
Yeah.
right? Who do you think covers this?
Sure. Again, in order to have specific information, though, for us to initiate something, it would have to be essentially the burden I have as an investigator, again, to go and search warrant, to get an arrest warrant, it has to be probable cause.
Let me tell you, when I went to the National Mortgage Association to speak to them, right, into Miami, they set it up here, right, for me to go. They had 6-7 Russian nationals break into my room. And what I did was I saw the door handle and backed them into the hallway where the security. Now, what I'm telling you is a security camera. You know why they tried to kill me? Because the New Hampshire Banking Department is the one who's laundering the money and protecting the institutions that hold the dough. When they knew I was going down there, they turned around and tried to have me murdered.
And did you report it down there?
Not only reported it, I was wrestling this asshole in my tighty whities in the fucking hallway.
You said Florida. Did the agencies come up?
Miami.
Yep.
Yes.
What was the charges?
Oh, they didn't arrest him. They turned around. He was smiling the whole fucking time, by the way, and had hair down to here. All right? Barely talking, they go, because I opened the door when he was breaking in. How's that? Now, they have all this, and it's an investigation, a murder investigation still. Now, what I'm telling you is they're the scene. You can call them, the Miami Police Department. I'll even give you the detective's name. But that had to do with the New Hampshire Banking Department. People that I worked with set me up with those. That was the guy, Alex Walker. Alex Walker is one of your top attorneys He's the one put it together with Aganos, which is part of the problem. Do you know that there's Russian influence up here with the drugs, along with the fucking Mexicans, and they're fighting each other, and they're both trying to fucking kill my ass.
As far as specifics to the bank, does your CI have, again, first-hand knowledge that I would be able to type into an
People who work there,
Okay.
who are afraid of dying,
What is the specific information that they
that
have?
it is a drug bank, and they're petrified, and they're hiding a lot of that. That's why he's turning around. They'll offer people money to put their money in because they're trying to look legitimate. Why do you think people are pulling it out? Do you know what the specifics are?
Also that they're chartered as a bank to deal with deposits from New Hampshire, and they're doing a lot of offshore money. That's actually outside of even the charter.
Just check how much money is leaving offshore. How do you leave billions? You don't have billions here. Think about it. This money, the problem with, it's not selling the heroin, it's what do you do with all the money? That's where they get technical. And that's where this airport too, you know. And the same asshole, Aganos, is trying to put a railroad system in. Did you know that? Through Lebanon into Canada. Right. Because we seem to be this drug highway that we're on. I mean, you know we have the worst death per capita in all of the United States. Right here. How can it not be here? And you know something, if they're not protected, it wouldn't happen otherwise.
So we got the copper door,
Yes.
and you have that individual that I can talk to,
Yeah.
again, about specifics.
And that same individual works for Cruz. So he can give you
So the guy at the copper door works for Cruz. Yes.
one of the guys. There's another guy that
You have two CIs regarding the copper door?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know about
Maybe
it.
a second.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Primary
Cruz. All right, we have multiple people on these.
Okay.
Multiple people.
Again, and I know
How
you
about
got a
the
lot
state
of...
senators? We got them.
Yep.
Congressman, I got one of them.
Again, under my...
And they're afraid of us.
And obviously, if you're tied into Hell's Angels, you're tied into drugs, that's a huge concern. And they wouldn't be the first or the last ones to have that. And by all means, we would absolutely take that serious. As far as what I can do under, again, my narrow scope for Bedford, I know it sounds like there's a lot of stuff that happened maybe in Manchester, in the past, currently. As far as individuals that I can meet with, at least to start the investigation here in Bedford, we got the copper door nailed down with our two witnesses there. We've got the primary bank with the witness there that can give me, again, specific information that I can actually act upon.
You want to hear this woman with Chambers. All I can tell you is what they told me. If you take this guy, he could give you everybody. Which is why he keeps walking. But he's insane, which is why he doesn't even wear a mask and he robs the bank. You get him. You get everybody. And you get the other contact, this Nietzsche. You get into the club, the whole thing. This is how it comes in. You're going to get illegal gambling, drugs. He knows the distribution. This guy, the woman who told me is now more afraid that she's dead now. Because they're saying is that they now know that she could be a leak and this guy could be talking. So they're going to start killing people around him. So in other words, you got to look at this person too.
No, and And I get that.
Even if you move this and say, hey, listen, we gave you Jingers. This one's the first one. This guy killed somebody. Now, they don't even know he killed somebody.
How do you know that he killed somebody?
He came back from Pennsylvania and turned around and said he had to walk some guy in the wood and put 2 in his head.
Now, who did he say that to?
The same woman.
Because at this point, and we're on the same guidelines when we testify in court. There's hearsay, and you guys probably know what it is. It's a third-party crime.
Except for we now know this guy robbed a couple banks with machine guns.
Sure.
So we can assume that he's dangerous. Sure. And this guy said that he put 2 in the head. I pay attention to it.
I mean, the other stuff's reported in the Union Leader. Andy's been arrested. The home invasion and the 2 bank robberies are public record.
And you know he comes back from Manchester?
Tied in with bank robberies. What's that?
You know he comes from Manchester? You know Nietzsche comes from? Manchester. You both know they're Hells Angels. They both were dragons.
Again, I would need the specifics of the incident, not necessarily their character.
Right. And we have the Bedford Strip Club, right?
They are Hells Angels. Yeah, obviously, yes, we have. Yeah,
completely.
Again, so I would need the specific information.
Well, how about this? The guy who owns it, you do know that the LLC that owns the club is not what would I say? In good standing.
As far as what?
They shouldn't be open. They don't have a license.
With the Secretary of State.
That's number one. I checked.
Club standing.
Because I was wondering, how did the guy get a license when he's indicted for a couple thousand years for drug laundering and drugs?
Who's the quote-unquote owner? I know you mentioned
Mike Rose. Now, how does he? What? You know how many strip clubs in the state of New Hampshire there is? 1. You know, you guys represent Bedford. How is it that the only one in this state? I don't know. If I lived in Bedford, like you live in Bedford, did you figure out that this would be the place to have the one strip joint in the whole fucking state?
I think, unfortunately, I mean, it's passed through a couple of different things, but I think
through the cracks way back.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't go through because I met with the town manager on this. Mike, they were threatened to be murdered, and the guy who they threatened died suddenly. Do you remember Russ?
Oh yeah, good guy.
Yeah. They poisoned them. Dead.
Well, that was not when the Gold Cup was coming in. It was in there.
It was involved with the Globe Cup coming in. While they were in already, they found out and staked it out, and they were doing drugs and so forth. So they went to shut them down, and this guy
They brought in Chief Bailey to do it undercover, which was not the brightest thing, but I guess.
Right. Turned around and said, you're going to wind up dead. Boom, they dropped it. That's it.
Who was it that specifically said, Mike told you this? This Mike Rose guy told you this?
Who's the town manager?
Mike Rose?
Should I say?
Wow, what's the
No.
name?
All right. Just somebody that was a town official who had the phone call with them and knew Russ was afraid of being murdered. And is telling us that they poisoned him. And how about this? They shouldn't be open. They don't have a license. It is mob run. And you know what this guy Rossi was in? Hell's Angels. See? And this guy down there, do you know this guy Nietzsche? Out of all the places he could go, he's 12 miles from the club in South Carolina. I checked. There's your connections. They're all connections. That's why they're in Bedford. You know why they're in Bedford? Because Aganos is in Bedford.
So the club is alleged as a location to deal drugs.
Absolutely.
So we got the drug dealing, laundering. What else is specific to the Bedford instance?
The primary bank.
Yep.
We do have other Bedford witnesses that we have to talk to.
So this is what I'm
serious witnesses. How about this? You know this? I can give him this asshole. State Senator Andy Sanborn. You know Andy?
Yep, I know all of them. I don't know.
Yeah. He knows Aganos has been a drug dealer for 20 years. He only said it in front of 7 witnesses. Then he said, who hasn't sold drugs? Interesting. Well, there you go. He can go sign. He's a state senator.
So again, what I want to do is identify these places and then talk to any and all witnesses that you have. So I don't know if Andy has specifics of the Copper Door, the Gold Club, whatever it is. I guess I have what I'm looking, in order for me to build a case, And I get that Andy Goss was a drug dealer back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, no. He's been a drug dealer. Did you see this with his son? Max is running the fentanyl run.
We'll get
Do you know who Max's contact is? Alex, rather. I'm sorry. Alex? The guy who just got arrested.
Which guy?
Steve Gingras.
Okay.
Right.
Gingras, yes.
You get Gingras, you get him. Why do you think I had this guy as a witness? Or I had the girlfriend?
So, let me tell you how most investigations go. Before we would even talk to Gingras, we would be doing a faulty interview if we went and asked him questions without knowing the full scope of what's involved in it.
But we have a police report in Derry and the DEA before it all happened.
So what I would do as an investigator, let me just tell you how I handle all my cases, I would talk to anybody with specific information. So then I could then go and question him, and I'll know specifically if he's lying, if he's alluding, or if he's telling the truth.
Well, he got caught with the machine gun.
And I'm not saying he did. What I'm saying is, in order for me to deal with these three, I'm going to call them allegations, complaints specific to Bedford. And I get you're saying Angamos is a much bigger state level deal.
You've got to use this Gingras. Gingras is tied into.
So what I'm asking for you though is I got to get specifics, and I know that people are comfortable reporting it to you, and you're here on their behalf, and I get that. What I got to identify is those specifics, so I can take specifics and talk to Gingras and apply it to how it here is here in Bedford. So what I mean by that is this: I will talk to this girl here, say, okay, tell me exactly everything you know on this date.
Can you give her protection? Listen, now I've got 45 witnesses.
Yep.
That I'm asking the court for protection order. They're not giving me a protection order in 9 weeks. They're not giving me anything. They're not even making a ruling, and they're leveraging them. Well, that's why Gatsis gave the information to Shaheen and Gordon.
So I cannot guarantee that if I start the investigation, if the crime is elsewhere, obviously that's out of my hands.
I'm giving you the person who's in contact with Aganos here. He is considered to be the biggest distributor in the state.
And I get what you're saying. I have to build up a case to prove that.
Well, how about this? We have an eyewitness, and there's other witnesses there too. She could, and we have the police report to Clark. We have the police report to the DEA before the bank robberies happened, and they gave him the name Gingras.
But allegations can be made by anybody. You can say he just committed a homicide,
but we have,
and you can file a report, and I can call up and I can verify the report. The challenge is proving that allegation. So, and I'm not saying your witness is lying or making it up. The burden as the investigator.
We've got cross collateral all over this. Okay. I mean, there isn't. Out of those 40 of them know they move it by motorcycles. 40 of them know.
Sure.
I mean, I've got people that telling me who they are. We even had warehouses, locations. Was any of those in Bedford or about Manchester? Locations.
So what I have to do is I have to move beyond the rumor, beyond the supposition, with articulable facts that, again, like I said before, I can put it in an affidavit, submit it for a judge. He can read it, sign off on it. That's our threshold. In order to get to there, I got to meet with the witnesses. So the first thing what I want to do is find out which witnesses apply to us. That's why I'm kind of trying to go down this list sequentially like this. So I got the Copper Door, I got the Primary Bank, I got the Gold Club.
What about the auto fair?
If it's something
they meet at the Copper Door, but they work out of the Manchester and the Nashua location, and there's a Haverhill location too.
Okay.
That I have information on. The Nashua one, the whole place is rigged for selling drugs. So in other words, but they meet at the Copper Door. So I'd like to include that. I have all that in writing. What he gave me.
Yep. So again, it sounds like it's the same witness,
but not just to the Copper Door. It's about
the auto fair.
Auto fair. Yep. So you'll find out about the drug laundering, the money, and the financing of the cars. Who would you audit it? Banking. They won't honor it. And I'm telling you, it's how to hide the money. Where's the trick? Because it is so much.
Okay.
And that's the Primary Bank. We have a woman that's one of the people in charge of running it. I mean, she's worried about dying. We'll talk to her. Maybe we'll talk to someone.
We got to figure out how to create a comfortable environment for her to have a conversation.
Because right now, not protecting witnesses in 9 weeks. How do you feel about witnesses? Now, this woman finds out that the boyfriend that you gave robbing banks. And now we're still waiting for a protective order. So when we're asking these people to come forward,
Did she say how long ago this alleged homicide?
weeks. Oh no, before he came back, right? Just before he came back to rob the bank,
Yeah.
he'd come back in the house.
2 weeks. So within a time frame of a month.
Yeah.
And was that confirmed? Did somebody say, hey, look, this agency's looking for this person, the guy?
I don't know
We haven't
that.
done that yet.
Well, we can ask her that. What she said when he came in, he said, just come back to Pennsylvania. I walked the guy into the woods, put 2 in his head.
Gotcha. Okay. If that guy is that much of a player and he's looking at a homicide rap out of another jurisdiction, that might compel him to talk. Again,
That's what I'm thinking, and that's what they're thinking.
However, if he is tied into the agency, that may or may not. But what I have to do is we are so far from that point, and it wouldn't be us, but we are so far from that point. The first logical step here is whichever witness you feel comfortable, and I know you talk about a comfort zone, if they have that specific information, they're willing to meet with me. The first interview doesn't have to necessarily be recorded. I can just talk to her, look what my requirements are, what I'm looking for from her as an investigator. Again, specific information, not just rumors, not hearsay. So if her information is based, hey, Joni, who works the next cubicle down.
She was in the game. She did 7 years in federal prison.
Yeah, well, we're switching. No, that's a different.
Yeah, I was alluding to them, but I'm kind of bouncing around. But you get my idea, maybe so.
Okay.
So that's essentially what I'm looking at.
Can I ask you one thing then?
Yep.
Can you get me an appointment with the drug task force on this one issue with this woman? If this is not
As
one,
far as which issue?
a meeting.
The dairy issue? The
No, Jingers.
The Jingers guy?
Right, the guy who was distributing it. He's the contact between the Hells Angels and the Outlaws. Him. And his partner is this guy, Nietzsche.
Let me ask you
Nietzsche
this.
took off to South Carolina because it got caught. And he's working that club thing with South Carolina. These people came from South Carolina.
Let me meet with her, find out specifically what she has for information, and then I would be happy to, if she's got valuable information, and it sounds like she has a plethora, if she's got valuable information, then I will contact the DEA and say,
Why wouldn't you contact the DEA before?
I don't know if they have case-specific information. I don't know what the extent is.
I mean, we went over the DEA on South River.
And did you talk to anybody?
No, we sent them packages.
Yeah.
Mike showed up on their doorstep, and they sent the Bedford police to arrest him for trespassing. So we're not getting a lot of love from the DEA.
Okay.
And that's because they all know. They all know. I mean, you know what? I'm only repeating what everybody knows. I mean,
again, there's the generalized, and I'm not saying it is, but there's the generalized, everybody knows, and you know how that goes. Everybody says, he's a so-and-so, he's a this. There's rumor, and then there's specific facts.
and I put out a specific fact. Listen, I put out a specific fact.
We've got all this, and this is even summary information. We're saying to the DEA, we have specific names, and they're
You get to read how they threatened to kill me. You know what else you get to read? You see this? You know what this is? This is a release and an offer. Look at one thing. Bill Shaheen, right? Jutras, Alex Walker. You know what they offered me? $50 million in writing. See? $50 million in writing. Now, who do you know gets offered $50 million? And I posted this on the internet. And all I have to do is keep my mouth shut. In writing.
Let me go through that. I have yet to see any of that. So
This is yours.
Let me go through that. So
So who offers $50 million for being wrong?
Sure.
And now I have it in writing, and they hadn't refused it. I know what I asked them for? The money's good. I want skulls. And they wouldn't give me Alex Walker. They would go back to Aganosa Cruz. So I told them to go fuck themselves. And this is where we are. And that ain't no bullshit, and that's in writing. Now what are they paying all that money for?
As far as our next step here, and like I told you before, it's probably going to take a couple different meetings. If she's not comfortable, primary bank, it sounds like obviously if they're wondering, she might have the most specific information. If you want to reach out to her and kind of, or the witness from Jingers, whichever one you want, or the Copper Door guy.
This one with Jingers is so important because it gets you everybody. It gets the distribution, it gets you everybody, and how the network. These guys have been doing it for years. I talked to Kinnan. Do you know Kinnan, Jim?
I don't.
Do you know who he is? He's the one who arrested Aganos on the thing. He was a state trooper for 20 28 years. You know what his thing was? Narcotics and games.
Mm-hmm.
He was telling me it was the Hells Angels way back then.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started pulling all the articles. Arresting Hells Angels. It was him. He's the one who told me about Aganos. Then Stewart called me. The same thing and said, hey, this is how it's working. And I got a call yesterday from a state trooper saying they're moving it from the airport. I didn't even know that Aganos got caught on the plane with 2 suitcases and a Mexican.
And that was back, again,
87. Yeah, but in 2009 he got bagged. Biggest cocaine bust in the state.
Did they tie it back to him specifically?
Of course they did. They had the Mexicans that were doing it. They came in through him. They interviewed Aganos about it. You know what he says? Oh, what a surprise.
Yeah, he said, oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
That the contractor I used that was all illegal aliens from Mexico were,
Right.
actually trafficking coke. That was what he said in the Union Leader. But the cop, what was that? Hambrook.
Yeah.
There was a whole thing with that investigation where Hambrook actually filed a complaint, I think, against the DEA for screwing up the situation with the confidential informant.
With Anagos. They had Anagos set up. They had his house surrounded. They had a witness that the DEA picked up and kidnapped. Have you heard about this one?
No, I think I saw some on the list.
Kidnapped the witness and blew the cover for Aganos.
And that's in writing a complaint from Hambrook about this whole
Right.
situation.
And Hambrook was a lieutenant in the state police. There's another one. They're saying that we did, they screwed it up. They're saying that what's happened is we had one of the biggest drug dealers in the country work unabashed. He grew an empire. He's just building another building next to the airport for 400 people. You heard that? That's him. See that hotel? Listen, what happened in Miami? What happened to all these places with the drugs? They had to put it in real estate. What is the guy in? Real estate construction. He's in HUD. He's in bed with Shaheen. Bill Shaheen is corrupt with this guy. And they've been running illegal HUDs. So it's all connected. I want, if you could, reconsider with this one witness, because I'm thinking this one witness could be dead. Because what they're doing is, and what she's afraid of, is now that this guy's caught, and they get him for the murder, and that they may be killing the people that are closest to him.
To Chambers?
Yeah.
I can reach out to her if you guys are comfortable sharing with your name. If not, I totally get that.
I'll bring her in.
So I was just going to say, if you want to contact her, again, the first meeting off the record, no audio recording.
I don't know. Maybe she's okay with the record. I don't want to bring her
She
in.
tried to report. She reported to the Derry police. She went into the
She went in
DEA, and the
on her
DEA
own.
said, good luck, was their kind of response. So,
And then
now,
when she got back, he's going, and he repeated what she said. So now that she knows that she could be a leak, so that's why she's afraid of getting murdered. And that she's telling me, Mike, this is the guy who'll give you the whole network. All the trafficking, pricing, everything, the pickups, who's doing it, and they've been doing it for years.
Okay. Reach out to her, and then
And the texter. You want this texter.
the texter is obviously the one there, and he's not the same guy as your property.
No. He's a guy that was in the gang. He was in the gang. He was a drug addict. He knows. He's telling me this, how it comes in from New York. He's telling me it comes in Boston. I'm in Lawrence. And how they pick it up. And he was saying motorcycles. So now that we've got her saying motorcycles, we got the texter saying motorcycles, and I got 40 other ones saying
the
motorcycles.
direct eyewitnesses, people that were directly involved.
Exactly.
This isn't hearsay. And
These are all people.
We have a total of 60 witnesses now.
Yes.
It was 45 when we put this together. Now we're up to 60. And this is why this is so frustrating, because, how do we...
And this texter that you see here, you know who this is? This is Ted Little. He's one of the top attorneys in the state. He's afraid that their children are going to get murdered. And he threatens to kill me and my kids if I say anything. No, he's a well-known attorney. Now, those are his. Now, he should be able to explain those. And how the courts are corrupt and the judge, and it's a setup. All of that. And they threaten to kill my kids again, telling me where my kids live. Right. I mean, I went to jail for contempt with the judge, trying to give the judge information about murdering my kids. They tried to kill me in jail. Now, we can go to the second day and see that my blood pressure dropped 80 points. And I was out with my hands below my feet below in the cell. heard, and then the witness next to it heard the guard say, "Why isn't he dead?" He only took a small bite.
Oh, the Gibbies.
Right. Oh, there's medical records on that. And since then, I did a video and a thing on the drugs. You know how they're bringing all the drugs into the prison? It's Agados, by the way. The kitchen. Have you get food supply? Have you noticed that Belmont cop, the chef, $67,000 worth of heroin brought into the kitchen, got caught about 2 months ago? Yeah. That's how they do it. And you know how they collect? They send 2 guys in, beat the hell out of you and rape you if you don't pay. So then they turn around and make the threats to the parents. And the parents are paying. I know, they sent 2 of those assholes in for me. Didn't work out for them. But that's who it is. No, I just did a video on that. Absolutely.
Let me go through this. Like I said, I haven't seen it yet. I'll leave it to you guys if you want to give my name and number to these people. If you
I'll take your card.
Yep. And if you want, they can call me direct. I'll leave my direct number.
These people will want to come down with me.
Yep, that's fine.
They're going to trust who I trust. And that's why I'm nervous with the lives of some of these people.
Sure.
Because I know who we're dealing with. Hey, listen, the guy went out and killed somebody. That's who. These Hell's Angels and these outlaws, they will kill your ass. Right? And I'll show you the Facebook. All you have to do is Facebook. I just got, look at that motorcycle gang. What's the name of that gang in Manchester who went and killed me last week? Yeah. No shit. All you have to do is look at Facebook. I sleep with a fucking shotgun. No problem. I'll fucking use it. But listen, we shouldn't be the only one dealing with this shit.
Let me hear back from your guys, or if you guys can call.
I'm going to talk to this.
Yeah.
Yes. That's how she's been involved this whole time.
Okay.
But she's straight. You know, that's her different life. But she's afraid of dying because she knows distribution. She gave me Nietzsche the other day. I checked it all out. They're all from Hell's Angels, from Manchester. All right. We'll talk to
her, and just so the prepper, just let her know. Again, it would be specific information, stuff that I can actually not hearsay.
She's eyewitness to this, and she reported it. She has the Derry police report. She has the DEA report. She's got them, and it says Gingras. And listen, the machine gun. She had seen one of the machine guns that she said the MAC-10s wasn't what he robbed the bank with.
Does she have information tying Gingras to people above him, or
way above him? That's what she's saying. He is such a critical thing, and you would never get him.
And she has specifics on that. So
yes.
She's not just, again, I don't want to use the word supposition because I've used it so many
times. They were in a
times.
relationship for years.
Yep.
He still came back. He was still with her when she ratted him out. Because he wasn't worried. But now, the fact that he could be on for a murder rap, that he may talk. Now she's afraid. That's why she wants to come forward. But that's why I'm saying this guy's so important.
Okay.
And the texter could give you more information. This thing with the club. I mean, I'm telling you, check this guy, Rossi or Rose? Rose. And check who that is. Go pop it up on the internet.
He's in jail now.
He's in jail now, but that's who it is. They don't have a license to operate.
No, you can see there's an FBI press release about the indictment that lists all of the charges and everything else. I mean, this is, very recently, because he was just sentenced within the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And the indictment came down.
He got 87 months and 3 years of probation.
Yeah.
But it's a network that he had. Think about this, the guy from Manchester, you've got one strip club in the whole state from Bedford, and the guy who was the contact in here is 12 miles from there. The guy who owns it is in jail now for drug laundering. If he's in drug laundering from there, where do you think he was laundering the money and drugs from? The clubs. I mean, they should be closed, based on the fact that that's what they were doing. He was indicted for it. There's not a question mark. And this guy Nietzsche, who's partners with Gingras, is down there now. They were using Haverhill, and you'll see that he was a Haverhill guy. So check the internet. Well, listen, that's what we did. What I did was check all the stories. What I did was take a lot of these witnesses and that's why they keep coming back with fentanyl and heroin, but it keeps coming back with the motorcycles and the distributions. And their meeting, it seems to every time, is in Lawrence. I don't know, you guys here in Lawrence?
Of course, obviously.
There you go, sir.
So, as it's,
And then later on, I'll tell you about the liquor store. How they're moving the liquor over to New York, not having to pay taxes on it.
all the liquor stores, or ours in particular?
The state of New Hampshire's liquor stores.
That's it.
That's what they're moving.
That's
And it's the same players. And I got the drivers, the whole thing. They showed me an example, a written example, how they made $1.85 million on one bottle of booze. By keep selling the same bottle without paying taxes to New York.
Sure. Let me go over this list. I got 4 areas here. We can talk about the liquor store at a later date. Okay. Start with the drug.
Oh, I got it. We got it on all. Listen, I became the place where wayward crimes feed the land because they are trustworthy, which is also a point that I have about being trustworthy with them and with protecting them.
Copper Door, Primary Bank, Gold Club, and then the texter regards to
Yes. And we haven't added that woman yet, but you may want to.
Which one?
The one with Ingers.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, but as far as Bedford identifying the 4 areas that we identified for drugs.
This woman here, I need to move quicker on this woman.
No. I'm saying we can meet with her.
I know, but I need to meet quick with someone who can make a decision about protecting her.
Yep.
Listen, this thing with Ingers, he is the guy to connect him. He is the connector between the Hells Angels and the distribution.
Yep.
This guy gets you everybody, which is why she's flipping out.
Right. Let me be clear on the Jingers, the dairy thing. If it's not a specific Bedford case, I would be lying if I said that I could offer this umbrella of protection. Because if this is, especially if it's tied into a homicide in Pennsylvania, other entities would be involved. And I can tell you right now...
Well, that's why I don't want to waste her. I want to move her to a place where my first move is to protect her because I know what this is.
Short of me giving safety advice, that type of thing, I can't enroll her in... I don't have that capability. I want to have a gun. Yeah, I wanted to tell you guys up front so you weren't thinking that I could pull in some power placing her witness protection. I can't do that.
But can you make a phone call to us for the drug task force? They can make their own. Listen, they gave us a letter saying you guys were going to handle it, right? You saw that letter.
So let me, and that may have.
So if you could call them back and say, listen, on this one piece, he has brought us evidence that's outside our jurisdiction, but it involves this guy with machine guns, robbing banks, and who this is.
Let me, and I guess this is the part where I would ask you to trust me. Let me meet, and it can be the informal meet, not on recording.
You just said we couldn't do anything.
No. What I'm saying is, let me meet with her for the specifics, so I know exactly. You said in your example to calling the DEA, hey, this is outside our jurisdiction. I don't need specifics. I don't need her to give up information.
I gave you that. You have that. But if you're telling me, you just told me you can't help her or protect her.
If it leads to another jurisdiction.
Of course it's going to lead. All right, then let's make that call for us, please.
So this is the first, the guy that answered the phone, and I don't know who's going to answer the phone, but the guy that answered the phone over there, what specifically are they alleging? And I can
Well, you can tell what exactly I said.
Exactly.
How about this?
I can sum up the
You make an appointment. Hearsay, let's put it this way. We have a DEA complaint and a Derry police complaint. All right? Well, we have that. And we said that he had MAC-10s, machine guns, the whole thing. Now, we all know now that he did. So he got caught with them, with the machine guns and so forth. So, in other words, and the fact that he's in the Hells Angels, it's not too hard to look at this guy's profile, because we did, and find out that this is who he is. So, in other words, if that's not enough for you to sit down and talk with an individual, then what is?
What I wanted to your example, if I call up, and this is just the real world and how it is, if I call up the DEA and say, look, I met with Mr. Gill, Mr. Day, and they say that they have a witness, and they're going to say, is that everything that he provided to you in writing?
And you can share with the DEA and the Derry police.
And I assume that that's what you gave them. And they're going to say, what specific information, because they view it as I view it, because that's the scope of their world, as hearsay. You guys want...
She's an eyewitness.
But you giving it to us is hearsay.
Right.
She gives it to us.
I can give them her.
Right.
So let's make the appointment for somebody that can do something, that can protect her immediately, because I think that it merits that level of concern.
I would call, what I was going with this, Mr. Gill, was they're going to say, is it any different than what's here? They're going to say, no, it's not hearsay. I'm just being realistic. If I met with them and I said, look, I think she has very good, credible, first-hand information of a homicide in Pennsylvania, of illicit drug sales in the state, they're going to take that 10 times more serious if I just say, hey, look, would you be able to meet with Mr. Gill and this woman who I don't know?
But they already had that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I met with...
No. Since that, what's happened is...
He was arrested.
He was arrested.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, hey, assholes, you didn't do anything. Now the guy killed somebody, arrested 2 banks. We get your attention now?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I can make
if they don't want to see that, then it's a cover-up, and that's how I'm going with it.
I can make the call, but again, I'm just saying, real world, the guy on the other end of the phone who doesn't know me is going to say, you're saying he's dropped that stuff off to us in the past. Okay, what's changed?
But he does know, oh, how about this? A murder and a couple bank robberies that we have documented proof that you had the information that this was the guy.
Murder, we don't have documented proof. We have her saying it. And I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying...
Let's just go with the 2 bank robberies and the home...
With a machine gun.
Is that enough? Can we
I
start with that?
Yeah.
I can...
Does that get there?
I can make it... I don't
Then
know.
we can prove it.
But I'm saying, like I said, in the real world, if you have a professional calling from another professional saying, hey, look, I met with her, I think she's very credible, it's going to get more attention than just...
Well, here's another credibility. It's only the worst heroin epidemic in the country. There's a clue.
Mm-hmm.
And we're right fucking here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's right here.
Mm-hmm.
How's that? I mean...
Again, I'm calling somebody else who
We had 80
I don't know.
overdoses last month, right? 10 just in Manchester.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think they all know who they're buying it from? How about Dunkin' Donuts? Right? You know he owns 20 of them.
I did not know.
Right, and they distribute it around at the Dunkin' Donuts, too.
Again, I'd be happy to make a call. Do I see it getting traction? If there's nothing, and I could say...
We got warehouses.
As far as your generous witness is concerned, I'd be more than happy to call over there. Do I know if it's going to get
Just
traction?
the one witness.
Because
The one witness. This is the one. We're going to talk to the primary bank witness. That could be another one. This one witness, no, I have more. But this one gets you the ringleader, and I made it very clear and had multiple conversations about this. What does this one get me? And she goes, everybody. And he goes, I'm going to tell you, here's another connection to distribution. Then she gave me Nietzsche. I checked out Nietzsche. It was in April. Did go South Carolina. He was there. He's in the Hells Angels. And I said, there it is. So she's even giving me the associate of this guy. And what she's saying is, they will give you everybody. Everybody. Distribution. Picking up on both sides. Because they trusted the Hells Angels. Because they don't talk. But this one might.
I would be more than happy. It's no heavy lifting for me to call over there. But again, I don't know how it's going to be perceived. I don't know how it's going to be
How can it? No, how can it not?
If they have the information and they have whatever dairy or...
Well, they said that you were going to take care of it. Now, we already know that what I'm giving you isn't in your jurisdiction, so how are you going to be able to take care of it? So I think we have an open inquiry to them and go, well, wait a minute. You just told Mr. Gill, and we can send you that letter, that you were going to handle it, and this is jurisdictions that I can't.
I would definitely like a copy of the letter, and that may have been a conversation about my pay grade that I wasn't aware of. Like I said, I was given this, and I was asked to meet with you guys. So, what I will do is I will call over there and see if somebody's willing to meet with your witness. You guys, however they do it, that's their protocol.
Right. The letter, I remember it said Bofonte, and that we were going to meet with a lieutenant.
Okay.
That we want. So in other words, it came from that.
Yep.
I mean,
and very well.
Oh no, we'll get your copy, but
I just may not be privy to it. So.
These are the receipts of everybody received it. All right.
Okay.
So in other words, we know that they did. Because that's what I
So I will make a call. Again, I don't know how it's going to be perceived over there, but I'd be happy to make a call. If you guys want me to meet with her, if she's comfortable meeting with me, I throw that on the table.
If with her. Now I'll line up the other ones with you in Bedford. With her.
And then
you can't.
Yep, that's fine. Your prerogative, her prerogative, I'm okay with.
Right.
And then what we can do is then that would make it clear we can focus on these.
Right. But I will tell you, so you know, that is what we're saying this person gets. So we are asking for an assistance to talk to someone that in the DEA or the task force to turn around and say, listen, the DEA has this. They know it. We reported all this stuff to them.
Okay.
She did. She did before.
Do you know when she made the report?
In March.
And do you know who it was?
Clark.
In Derry, but do you know who in DEA it was?
No, but she has the report. The Debbie Kaplan I grew up with, you know Vernon Thomas?
Yes, I do.
I grew up with Vernon.
I don't know. Of course, I know.
I know him personally. I saved his ass 1,000 times, the little bastard. Ask him.
And Clark, you said obviously called Jingers direct.
Yeah,
Did you notify DEA? Did you say that as well?
the woman did.
She notified.
Clark
her.
did.
Okay.
She went.
Gotcha.
And the Clark DEA said, good luck.
Okay.
And when she got back, Jingers told us that this is what you told Clark. So how about this? We had
Do you know who specifically she talked to at the DEA? Because it would make things easier if, again, I don't have specific. I know you're saying that she's saying that Jingers is tying into drug sales. Essentially, that's all I have to tell the DEA guy on the phone. I'm like, look, she's alleging.
all they got to do is look at Jingers, they know.
So,
And he has more, there's more
but if
machine
they have
guns.
a previous complaint against them, whoever I'm talking to on the phone can then back reference it that way. And short of me meeting with her and saying, look, they're giving you X, Y, Z on this date.
She was even willing to go undercover. And I said, you're going to wind up dead.
Ask her if she recalls who she met with the agent, or if there was a,
All right.
number, a case number, or anything.
She wrote it into the,
Okay.
she said, she went to the
They can call DEA out of the blue. I guess that's where I was going. Is that without?
Bet you if you do, they know who she is.
They might.
I know they do. Which is why they wouldn't open the door with me. Because they know what I have too.
So if you can again notify them, and it's all where I was going was meeting with her is it gives a point of reference. So whoever's on the phone over there, I'm not just saying, hey, look.
She's going to say to me, is he going to be able to protect me? And I'm going to go, no, it's not even in his jurisdiction. So you know what she's going to go?
I don't want to be with him, and that's fine.
And then she's going to question my judgment. So that's
So for me to, I know how you, I guess I'm addressing how you wanted me to call DEA. In order for me to give them guidance.
DEA or the Drug Task Force and said, listen, this is beyond our jurisdiction. I think you may want to speak to him. Now I'll come in there. And listen, we have the evidence. We have I said it on the radio March 29th. In fact, there's a video out there now. You should watch this video. So I knew about it and said, machine guns, drugs, this woman's in danger. Right? I said it then because I thought she was going to get murdered then. And I mentioned Clark. Who we talked to? Woody there? No, Woody.
Eddie Edwards?
Edwards, yeah. You know Eddie?
I'm familiar with him. I don't know him personally, but I'm
Told it to Eddie. And since after I told Eddie how dangerous this was, then the guy went and killed a person and robbed 2 banks. So Eddie knows that I spoke to him about it and go, what the fuck are we going to do?
Okay. All right. I will call over DEA again. It may or may not, and I only say that because it's limited information. They may or may not.
Oh, no, but this isn't limited.
No.
You can't believe, I mean, we have evidence.
Yep.
Listen, it's not evidence that's the issue. It's who's going to listen to it because they know who's behind it.
Sure.
You know who's AOT's campaign manager? I mean, Gatz's campaign manager is Cruz. Gatz's he's a crook too. No? You guys know about Gatz's? Never bought the Greek Mafia, huh?
No, I think his brother taught at Parkside when I was there, but that was it. I never had him, but
The Greek Mafia. So notice how it's Anagas, Cruz, all of
I put my direct line on there.
Okay.
Over my desk. It's at repeating me by Chicken Scratch 792-1335. Reach out to your 4 witnesses. If you want me to go between, that's fine.
I'll talk to them.
If you want, if they want to reach out to me direct, that's fine. I will reach over to the DEA and make an attempt.
Understand the nervousness of this. We gave this package to Ted Gatz's. He gave it to Aganos. All right? That's what I'm concerned about. So when I say he's a crook, how do you explain that? That's like you turning around and giving it to Aganos the stuff we have here. That's what he did, and we can prove it.
Yeah, you get time stamps.
All right.
Anything else comes up, if it's a security issue for any of your people, if you think somebody's life.
I'm going to try to call you on Monday, and I'm going to speak to a couple people. But I'm going to see if you can't make that appointment. She's my first concern right now because I am worried. You know, I'm worried because I know the level of threats I'm getting. So when she says how concerned she is, I That's it. And when you see who these guys are, check the profiles of these guys. They're Hell's Angels. Defend this. Derry's filthy with them.
As far as any issues arise, if she's thinking imminent threat, obviously go over the 911 thing. If you think that,
Who's she called, Derry?
I was just going to say, if you think that there's a concern, call state police.
Well, that's the problem. See, we called Derry. She's dead. See, we should be having final charges against Clark. Why not?
I don't know.
Well, let's investigate that. Because if that is true, right?
Yep.
I mean, didn't the guy from Conley go to jail for 40 years for giving information on a witness?
Oh, he told her.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Which is, if I even get the tapes of we get that guy, Buckley's assistant.
Buckley.
With the FBI.
Okay.
That's what people out there are giving us stuff and evidence. That goes back to Shaheen on a tape.
If Clark divulged sensitive case information, then absolutely you would be committing a crime. If he calls up, and we sometimes see this with domestic violence, if what was alleged by a complainant...
Machine gun and drugs, which is the report.
If what was alleged by a complainant, they have to ask questions about suspects from time to time.
Calls the husband to tell them that you just left with the evidence and gave them all?
I don't know what was alleged.
How about we investigate? That's worth investigating, isn't it?
Yep, but that would not be, again, that would be the Attorney General. So any political corruption, any...
Ain't that a bitch? The Attorney Generals. You know, the 30 years the Attorney Generals come out of one law firm? McLean Law Firm. Runs your Attorney General's office. 30 years straight.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I know. See, there it is. 30 years straight. And that's how they protect a lot of the crimes that are going on. In a week. All right. All right, so if you make that phone call.
Yeah, I will.
And I'll call you on Monday.
Yep.
I'm going to speak to this witness in particularly. We'll talk to the other ones. We've got to warm them up. I'll even talk to a couple of the politicians that know certain things, but they're afraid to come out. They're afraid of this office. I got to tell you.
Sure.
They're afraid of Bedford. So am I.
Obviously, if you're alleging corruption, I can tell you right now, I know of these individuals. I don't have a personal connection to them. I believe I can speak the same for Detective Morley. I can tell you that Chief Rafonski, he does have a DEA background, but
I know his background really well.
I can tell you that...
Look, I was running in Pennsylvania too, horse racing and so forth. I know exactly who he is. He had 270 agents working for him. And he came here at the same time as the DA, so what the fuck's going on?
I can tell you from everything I know about him, integrity is huge with him.
Yeah.
And if you got something different, then I'm not pretty...
I'm talking to the Department of Justice.
You got to do what you got to do. Like I said, and I can tell you right now...
This is why he's not meeting with us.
The one thing that I can tell you for both Detective Morley, myself, and any police officer in general, the one thing we have is our reputation.
And the worst heroin problem in the country.
And our integrity. So I can tell you right now...
Well, then, here we go. Well, we're going to test it today.
Yep.
Because I'll bring the witnesses.
Yep.
And we'll see what happens.
Yep.
The ringleaders in this are right here. He's the biggest cocaine and heroin dealer in the country right now. So they said,
again,
you've been hearing about them bringing El Chapo up here too?
So I would need specific information.
You haven't heard that? You've heard it, right?
El Chapo?
Yeah.
Did they meet with a cousin or something?
The cousin's here.
They were trying to put him at the DEA facility, which
Right here in Bedford.
as actual
How's that one?
housing.
No shit.
How would they do that?
They're working on it right now.
Yeah.
You know why?
Doing time in here.
Who do you think he did business with?
That's what I said.
Remember, he got kidnapped and then they gave him back. That was the only thing I know about him.
Yeah, well, he was the big one. How about this? They're going to bring him here. Why is El Chapo's cousin gets arrested in New Hampshire? This is a fucking tourist destination for that asshole? I don't think so. See? And then all of a sudden they're bringing that asshole up here too?
No denial. We at New Hampshire, New England, is obviously had our fair share of the opiate epidemic. And
It's because of corruption. It invites them here. You lived in New Hampshire? Lived here my whole life. Ready? What attracts these assholes to come to this state? Location? Money? Poverty? No. Complacency. do with drugs? How are we having all these prisoners dying of overdoses if they're not bringing drugs in? Right? There it is. And even the prisons, same guy. Same guy. Even to the treatment centers. We're running a monopoly. Every one now they throw you a fish for marijuana or something. The guy makes it, what do they call that guy for marijuana? Kingpin. He's selling pot. He's a kingpin.
You won't hear an argument. The number one drug we see on the street, the number one problem, property crime, everything else. It's always opiates.
And these motorcycle guys are running the prisons with the drugs too. That part of it too. I did an interview with the people inside.
So just reach your people or approach your people, let them know that we're looking for specifics. So if they have to view a calendar.
These people are eyewitnesses.
Perfect.
The person in the bank works in the bank. But I am telling you, she's deathly afraid.
Mm-hmm.
You would say that, right?
Yep.
I mean, to the point where she don't want to leave her house the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Bookkeeping.
Sure. No, I hear you. And obviously specific information, that's what you want.
All right.
All right, Jeff? Okay. Any questions? You got my number. I will reach out to the DEA. I will let you know what they say or...
Okay.
If you entertain it again. And if you can, shoot me that letter.